Just don't get old. It's simple, isn't it? Hey guys, how are we doing? It's Martin Cliff here. Welcome to another video. And I just wanted to talk a little bit today about time and aging and things of that nature. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Subscribe and a like if it's something. A lot of what I talk about is music related. It's moving gradually away from music gear to other kind of more ethereal music concepts. But I'm definitely bringing in more kind of a philosophical approach using aspects of minimalism, essentialism and other things to kind of broaden my scope and also kind of refocus really. Now, don't get old sounds like something, it's like an impossible task. But if you think about it, or maybe you've never thought about it, maybe this will help you to think about it. Is getting old inevitable? Now don't get me wrong, aging, increasing in the number of physical days, weeks, months, years that we have experienced on this earth is inevitable. You know, until we die, we will continue to be alive for a longer period of time. But does that mean we have to get old? And what really is getting old? To me, getting old is more of a mindset. Getting old is I can no longer do what I want to do or what I used to be able to do. And now there will be some truth to that. Yeah, I can no longer do as much in terms of physical activity and stuff that I could when I was a teenager. Although that's probably more that I just didn't maintain the kind of practice routines and that kind of thing that I had when I was that age, rather than that rather than that I'm not physically able to do it. Yeah, if I was still swimming twice a week like I was when I was a teenager, I would be a much more capable swimmer now, and I could swim 60 lengths instead of 20 before I run out of steam. But that's 30 years ago, and yeah, I am out of practice of that. And I think this is one of the things we can practice, staying young, and young as an outlook, which I think if we keep a young outlook, it actually slows down the psychological aging process and then the physiological aging process. Now the problem is that in English we only have one concept of time, which is the ticking of a clock. But if we look to the ancient Greeks, they had two different concepts of time. They had chronos, which is the quantitative ticking of a clock, a number of minutes, seconds, hours, whatever it is. And then they had kairos, which is a different kind of thing. It's about quality, it's about experience, it's about moments, not minutes. It's experiences, which a lot of people in kind of the essentialist and the minimalist community and all that kind of thing are very much about moments, experiences, rather than things. But as well as this, which I think is really helpful, and it's something that I probably knew a little bit about, but I've certainly discovered more about over time, is that, think about this for a minute. There is only now. The past, yesterday, is an abstract concept. It's happened. You can't do anything about it. You can maybe make amends for things that you did wrong in the past, but that's not actually fixing the past. That's just kind of trying to patch over things in the hope that it won't impact things in a negative way. The future is a completely abstract concept. There may not be a future. By the time this video goes live, or by the time this video is scheduled to go live, it may not go live because there may not be an earth for it to go live on, or who knows what could happen. Yeah, as Christians, we believe that the second coming can happen at any time. Is it likely to happen in the next couple of months before this video goes live? Probably not, but it could do. We don't know. We don't know the hour, the moment. So yeah, there is only now, really. So let's make the most of now. Now, you might think, yeah, but at my next birthday I'm going to be another year older. At my next birthday I'll be 45, which is not too bad going in terms of years. Yeah, 200 years ago, if I'd reached 45, I would be doing pretty darn well. In this day and age, not so much. But yeah, it's only a number. But it's also kind of, yeah, the number is not age. You do not suddenly become old when you reach 40, 50, 60. Now, you may have seen this in the past. You may have found, as I have, that when I was younger, and it's not just a relative thing, or it's partly a relative thing because age is a bit relative, but it seemed that people, when I was young, people in their 60s seemed old. And now people in their 60s don't seem as old, and it's not just about the fact that I'm closer in age to them. It's also that people's lifestyles have changed in such a way that they don't age as quickly, so we live longer. But if that's true generally, then surely there are things we can do to improve that, or to increase the youth and the kind of vibrance and whatever it is that we have in life. Also, I have friends of similar age who seem much older than I am. I also potentially have friends of a similar age who seem much younger than I am. But I think, and part of that is a lifestyle thing. You know, some of them have children, and we don't have children. So yeah, that is something that, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing at all. But for some people, having children causes them to age quicker than others. Not always, but for some people it does, and that's just part of life, and that's something that you accept. You know, if you're blessed with children, then they may take up a lot of time and energy, which may then cause you to get older quicker. But not always. Again, I think it's partly a perspective thing. But I also have friends who are similar age to me, who seem much older, who don't have children, so that's not the reason. It's just, I think, partly an attitude thing, partly a lifestyle thing, just a perspective thing. And I'm not going to say that getting old is wrong, don't get me wrong, but for me, I've decided that I'm not going to get old until I can for as long as I can possibly avoid it. So I don't consider myself to be in my mid-40s. I am 30-something. It's just that something is 14. And this is kind of a slightly humorous way of looking at it, but at the same time, it's like, why should suddenly, when we go from 39 to 40, we be perceived as being a lot older? Why can't we continue to enjoy our lives? In fact, I enjoy my life a hell of a lot more now than I did in my early 30s, because life was much harder in a whole number of ways, not only, partly mental health wise. There were other aspects as well. Life was much trickier for me and for us 15 years ago than it is now. I had a small breakdown in 2008, which caused me to severely reevaluate my life, because I was working myself into an early grave at that stage. So the 15 years ago going into 14 years ago, the end of 2007 going into 2008, I was really struggling as a person. I was getting old really quickly. And then I snapped, and I had to take, my doctor told me to take a week off work, relax, and then think about how better to spend your life, basically. Working in a stressful IT job did not work for me. I managed to, for a period of time, adjust that job so that I could actually take breaks, or at least so I did take breaks, because that was part of the key, was I just wasn't taking care of myself. And I think, this is a whole thing of state of mind, really. Find a way that hopefully enables you to live a lifestyle that means that you don't age as much. Now, what makes us age? Well, I've talked briefly about a couple of concepts, but I want you to think about a chisel. What makes a chisel age? Well, it's when it gets blunt and scuffed and nicked and stuff. What causes that? Friction. Usually. Sometimes sharp impacts from shocks. And that again is something that can cause, life changes, sudden life changes, war breaking out, the death of a loved one. All of these things can have severe impacts on our life, and it can make us age in terms of mental things. And that's hard. But a lot of the process is just through friction. So how do we make our lives not friction free, because we can never do that, but how can we reduce friction in our lives? Now, as someone who talks a lot about minimalism, it's fairly obvious that I'm going to say, well, reduce the amount of stuff, because the stuff that we carry with us wears us down. In the same way, if I'm going on a journey and I have a 5 kilos of stuff in my backpack, or I've got 20 kilos of stuff in my backpack, I'm going to get much tireder with 20 kilos of stuff in my backpack than I am 5. So the less stuff we carry with us, then the less worn down we'll get. But at the same time, carry the tools that are useful for you. If you need to take 30 kilos of something on a journey, take a sack truck or a trolley with you so you can take those stuff without having to carry them. So I'm not saying get rid of everything. That is absolutely not my philosophy, as you'll know if you've watched more of these videos. But reduce the excess. Take stuff down to the essentials. If you open your wardrobe in the morning and spend 5 minutes deciding what to wear, let's reduce that down. Reduce that down to maybe a capsule wardrobe, or something where you can just say, okay, I need a t-shirt and I need a pair of trousers. Pull them out. They will go together because they're not colours that clash with each other, and you don't need to think too much about it. Any of these things, just if you have to move house and you have to get 2 big moving vans and hire 8 people to do the move, wouldn't it be so much easier if you had less stuff and you could do it with 1 van and 3 people? Or even if you could do it yourself? And I guess kind of the thing that kind of goes behind all this is people matter. Stuff really doesn't. So spend time with your people, whoever your people are, whether they're friends or family or whatever. Don't waste time getting bogged down with stuff that keeps you away from people. Because in the same way that when I spoke about interacting musically with people helps me be more creative, even if they're not necessarily that musical themselves, just firing ideas off people. Being around people, even if like me you're a severe introvert and you actually need time alone to recharge, at the same time spending time with people is energizing, just for some people in short bursts. If I can be around 5 or 6 people in my closest circle for an hour every day, and then can spend the other 23 hours on my own, I would be continually energized by that interaction. Or maybe you see your friends 2 or 3 times a week, maybe different friends, any of this kind of thing. Just if I'm able to meet up, finish work, if I'm working a 9-to-5 job and I have the option of working overtime for a little bit of extra money to buy something that I don't need, or I can leave work at 5 o'clock, go out for a drink or dinner or something with a couple of friends, a couple of colleagues, choose the second one every time. Because people matter, stuff doesn't. So really, I don't have a solution for not getting old, as much as it's just a mindset. Decide not to get old faster than you physically have to, I think would be my bit of advice. And certainly the way that I've, over the last few years, really tried to live my life. I got old in the Instagram sense when I lost my hair in my mid-20s. I could no longer, at that point, join a kind of glam metal band and be a rock star. But that's okay, because that wasn't my path. But at the same time, once I'd figured out what was causing me to age in a negative way, and once I was able to, very fortunately, strip that out of my life and move on to a point where I've not got that friction wearing me down, I think I was able to stay young or age a lot slower. And that is be my goal. And for a lot of people, I think, life is hard. Life is hard. It's varying degrees of hard depending on your situation. But the more you can do to enjoy it and thus stay young, or at least don't get old, the better it'll be. Just some thoughts. Hope you're doing well. Take care, guys. I've been Martin Cliff. Don't get old. See you soon.